The second market is one that's very close to my heart, is education. Apple put the first computers in education. Apple did it again with the Macintosh. And Apple is still the dominant leader in education. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Who is the largest education company in the world? Who's the largest education company in the world? Yeah, the answer is Apple. Apple is the single largest education supplier in the world. Okay, supplier to education in the world. Single largest education company in the world. Now, I've asked 100 people at Apple this, and only 2 have thought of Apple. It's incredible, the position Apple still has in education. 60% of all computers in education are Apple's. 64% of computers teachers use are Apple's. It's a $2 to $2.5 billion business for Apple every year. What an incredible foundation to build off of. What an incredible legacy to build off of. And so you're going to see Apple proactively focusing much more on these 2 markets where it is very relevant, and both of these markets are growing over at 20% a year. Now, Apple's share is shrinking in these markets slowly, but I think you're going to see that stabilize and turn around, and you're going to see Apple grow with these markets because it's going to do a much better job of focusing where its relevance is and where its legacies lie. Next, core assets. As you know, Apple's greatest core asset is you all. It's the group of 20 to 25 million active users that believe that Apple products and Macintosh is still the best in the world. I don't think we've been doing a good enough job taking care of you. Have you called I've called the support lines myself. I've gotten very acquainted with the hold signal. And so I think we're going to see some changes there soon. And I apologize for anything in the past. But what I want to do right now is get a little more analytical. And I want to say, sort of from a more analytical standpoint, what are Apple's core assets? And there's 2 of them that I've been able to uncover. The first one is the brand itself, and the second is the Mac OS. Now, the brand, if you asked, what are the 5 greatest brands in the world? If you went out and you asked professionals this question, I think Nike would be on everybody's list. Coca-Cola would be on everybody's list. Disney would be on everybody's list. And Apple would be on everybody's list. We have one of the world's greatest brands, and we haven't paid much attention to it in the last several years, and I think you're going to see that start to change. And now I want to focus on the Mac OS. The Mac OS is an incredibly core asset to Apple, and we've been walking all over it. Most people think that we're about to abandon the Mac OS. Most people think that, Macintosh OS 8, which we just released, was codenamed Tempo, as you know, right? So we just released Tempo. Most people think our next release next year, which is codenamed Allegro, will come out, but then our next release will be Requiem. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The Mac OS is still the best thing in the world. It is still the best thing in the world. There are over 20 million active users. The number's a little closer to 25 million. There are thousands of developers, and there's $1.5 billion software industry built around this thing. This is one of the core assets of the company. And we are going to invest a lot more in it because we think it is an incredible asset, and it has yet to really be fully exploited. Apple is about the Mac OS. We're going to be doing other things because we're creative people. But at the core, Apple is about the Mac OS. And all of the fears that I've heard of people that we're abandoning it are absolutely not true. our latest release, Mac OS 8. I've got some really good news for you. We released this thing 2 weeks ago, and we have already sold 1.2 million copies. That's 4 times greater than what our forecast was. So we're scrambling to ship everything, and if it takes a little bit to get yours, please, I apologize for that, but we are scrambling. And this number is going up. I mean, it shows no sign of abating. So things are going very well with OS 8. Now, I'd like to talk about meaningful partners. Apple lives in an ecosystem, and it needs help from other partners. It needs to help other partners. And relationships that are destructive don't help anybody in this industry as it is today. So, during the last several weeks, we have looked at some of the relationships, and one has stood out as a relationship that hasn't been going so well, but had the potential, I think, to be great for both companies. And I'd like to announce one of our first partnerships today, a very, very meaningful one, and that is one with Microsoft. I'd like to take you through this. The discussions actually began because there were some patent disputes. And rather than, I know, rather than repeating history, I'm extremely proud of both companies that they have resolved these differences in a very, very professional way. And this has led, I think, to an overall relationship that we're announcing today that's got several parts to it, and we're extremely excited about. First part of it is a patent settlement and cross-license. The two companies have reached a full cross-license for all patents that exist and for patents that are filed within the next 5 years, and it has been a very serious patent settlement. The second part of this is Microsoft is committing to release Microsoft Office on Macintosh for the next 5 years. They are going to release the same number of major releases as they release on Windows during that time. Their first release is they're going to target to have it out near the end of the year. It might slip a few months into next year, but they're working real hard on it, and it looks very, very good. Next, we have taken a look at browsers out there, and Apple has decided to make Internet Explorer its default browser on the Macintosh. Since we believe in choice, we're going to be shipping other Internet browsers as well on the Macintosh, and the user can, of course, change their default should they choose to. But we believe that Internet Explorer is a really good browser, and we think it's going to make a fine default browser. Java. We are going to be collaborating with Microsoft on Java to ensure that we can get the best from each other and ensure that there's compatibility between our virtual machines. And we think that that will serve everybody's interests. And lastly, Microsoft is making an investment in Apple. Microsoft is buying $150 million worth of Apple stock at market price. It is non-voting shares, and they've agreed. And they've agreed not to sell them for at least 3 years. So what this means is that Microsoft is going to be part of the game with us as we restore this company back to health, have a vested interest in that stock price going up. We're going to be working together on Microsoft Office, on Internet Explorer, on Java. and I think that it's going to lead to a very healthy relationship. So it's a package announcement today. We're very, very happy about it. We're very, very excited about it. And I happen to have a special guest with me today via satellite down.